Emma Reed lived alone. At least that's what the official building records stated. Not rumors, not assumptions, the records. Apartment 7C sat at the very top of an old Portland building built in 1928. No attic above it, no maintenance floor, no hidden apartment, no structural space meant for movement, only reinforced roofing, solid, final, unoccupied. Which is why the first whisper didn't just feel strange, it felt impossible. Because it didn't come from outside, it didn't come from the walls, it came from directly above her at exactly 2:13 a.m. every night, without variation, without error, like something counting time instead of experiencing it. Emma. There was only one contradiction that made everything collapse. She was already on the top floor, and nothing above her was supposed to exist. Emma Reed was 29 years old. She worked remotely as a graphic designer, spending most of her days in front of a screen that never fully shut off. She wasn't lonely in the way people assume. She was simply undisturbed, and she preferred it that way. Apartment 7C gave her exactly what she wanted. No footstep overhead, no arguments through the thin ceilings, no reminders that other lives existed above hers. Just controlled silence inside an old building that had learned how to creak like it was breathing. For almost a year, her life followed the same pattern. Morning coffee, design work, evening silence, sleep, repeat. A routine is so stable that it stopped feeling like time was passing at all. Until October arrived, and the building stopped behaving like it used to. She didn't remember the exact first night it happened, only the exact time, 2:13 a.m. A time that repeated itself too perfectly to ignore. At first she assumed it was structural noise, old plumbing, heat expansion, wind pressure in unused ducts, anything logical, anything safe. But logic has limits, and this didn't, because the sound didn't behave like randomness, it behaved like intention. And intention in a sealed space is never harmless. On the fifth night, Emma stayed awake. She told herself it would prove nothing or end everything. Both felt acceptable. 2:11, 2:12, 2:13. Silence, no relief, suspicion. Then a creak, slow, measured, directly above her head, not from distance, from alignment, like something stepping into exact position. Then the whisper arrived again. Emma. But this time it didn't feel like a call, it felt like confirmation. As if something had checked she was still there and decided to continue. The next night, she recorded it. Her phone rested on her chest as she pretended to sleep. The footsteps came first, slow pacing across wood that should not exist. One step, pause, another step, longer pause. A rhythm that suggested awareness. Then the voice followed. I know you are awake. I know you are awake. Emma's body froze, not from fear alone, from the recognition that the statement was correct. When she played the recording the next morning, the footsteps were there, clear, undeniable. But the voice was gone. Only silence occupied the exact moment where language should have existed. That contradiction changed everything, because it meant the experience was not fully physical and not fully imagined either. It existed somewhere in between, which is the most dangerous place anything can exist. She asked neighbors. They heard nothing. Management dismissed it as stress, but one man didn't: Walter, an old resident who had lived in the building longer than most structural repairs. When she mentioned the voice, he stopped moving entirely, then asked only one question: "What did it say?" And when she answered, he didn't respond, not immediately, like the answer had reopened something he had spent decades trying to keep closed. Then it stopped. 2 nights of silence. No whisper, no timing, no presence above her, just absence. Emma almost accepted it as recovery, a mistake resolved, a hallucination corrected. But silence does not end stories, it only pauses them. On the third night of silence, her phone activated on its own. No touch, no notification, just playback. And a voice she had never recorded spoke through it. Calm, close, certain. It gets louder when you stop listening. Emma didn't scream, because by then she understood something worse. It wasn't reacting to fear, it was reacting to attention. Walter finally spoke again that evening, not as reassurance, as warning. There was something above the apartments. He paused for a long time, then added quietly, "It wasn't sealed to keep it out." Another pause. "It was sealed to keep it in." Emma asked what it was. Walter shook his head, and for the first time, looked genuinely afraid of memory. It started responding. Under her bed, she found a panel, not hidden by age, hidden by intention. Perfect edges, no damage, no sound when lifted, as if it had been waiting for permission. Below it was space, not storage, not infrastructure, absent shaped like a room. She lowered a flashlight and saw wood, old beams, and named carved repeatedly into structure like warnings written by repetition itself. Emma, James, Sarah, Emma, Emma. Then she saw something different, a single carving, fresh, deeper than the rest, accurate in a way handwriting should never be. Emma read. And for the first time, she understood she was not discovering something. She was arriving inside something already aware of her arrival. She tried to leave, but time no longer behaved normally in the apartment. At 11:47 p.m., someone knocked once, then again. Then silence, followed by a whisper directly above her. "Too late. Too late." Walter finally revealed the last truth. Not clearly, not comfortably. It was never empty. It learned how silence sounds. Emma returned to her apartment anyway. Not out of courage, out of inevitability, because distance didn't seem to matter anymore. At 2:13 a.m., it returned, creaking first, then presence, then voice. "Now you understand." And she did, not as information, as realization. The building was not containing it, the building was part of it, and it had always been listening through structure itself, not above her, not below her, around her, through her. She left the next morning, officially, but buildings do not forget patterns or names, and 6 months later, a new tenant moved into apartment 7C. On their first night, they called the manager. "There is someone above me." The manager did not respond with surprise, only recognition, because some complaints are not new, they are repeated. The building was never silent. It only learned how to wait between sounds, and it always waits for one thing: a name to repeat.